So let's review the assignment from round 1C. Take a look at what we got there. 1. Suppose Andrews wanted to reduce its leverage ratio at the end of round 1 by using cash to pay down debt. Okay, if we're using cash to pay down debt, we're affecting both the assets and liability side, so that has no effect on equity. Okay, but if we're using cash, it is paying down assets, and the way they defined the leverage ratio in this game is it's assets divided by equity. That's not, we commonly used more of a debt to equity type ratio in banking, but it's a similar ratio, just using some different components. But what amount would have been necessary for Andrews to have achieved a leverage ratio, assets to equity, of 1.8? Well, we've got a few components. Again, equity is not going to change, right? We said that if we're using cash to pay down a debt, we're equally changing both liabilities and assets, and so according to the accounting equation, right, that the total assets equals liabilities plus owner's equity. So if we pay down assets, if we pay down liabilities, we use assets, and so our equity stays the same. So we've got two out of the three components here. We're searching for a leverage ratio of 1.8. So we got 1.8 is equal to X, or the assets that we're looking for, the amount of assets that we want, divided by our equity. Okay, so our X is equal to 1.8 times 69,901,000. That's just the magic of algebra there, right? Because you got 1.8 equals that, so you can multiply both sides times 67 million, and so you isolate the X. So if I multiply those two together, I get 122,220,000 is the assets that are needed. Total assets were 142,406,000, and so probably should maybe show you guys some of this on here. I better get to the right CapSim report. Sorry, let's do that. So the required pay down of debt should be $20,186,000, and that is for Team Andrews. So that's so again, Team Andrews had a leverage of 2.1, but we're saying, what if we wanted to get that down to 1.8, right? And so the numbers that I had, of course, were what its equity was 67,901,000. I would get that from the balance sheet, right? Total equity 67,901,000. Its total assets were 142,406, which shows up kind of later, right? Then I calculate what it should have been in order to get to that level of leverage. Okay, would have dropped their leverage by 0.3. So 2, in the low end segment, how much money after taxes did Ferris leave on the table? So what did it do? And I should explain too, when we're doing this kind of necessarily, our other costs would stay the same, right? Okay, we're not going to increase administrative costs, not much anyhow, and technically I guess you could argue that you would, but in any event, we kind of throw those things out and say that other costs would remain the same when we do this calculation, and for the most part they would. Okay, and so this is, what would happen if Ferris just would have sold a few more feet? Well, feet had a potential of 24.9, and again we get that from down here. So I come to feet. Feet had a potential of 24.9. It had an actual, and I did, nope, I did that right. Okay, 24.9, it had an actual of 19.1, so 5.8 is what it missed out on. Total demand in that segment, the low end segment, was a little over 10 million. Okay, so you multiply those, and it missed out on 585,000 units of sales. And its price, and if we bounce back and take a look at price here, in the low end, feet's price was $19 per unit. Okay, So it missed out on sales, and I take those missed unit sales times the $19, and it missed out on dollar sales a little over 11 million. Okay, then we calculate its marginal variable cost, and we got to do that by coming up here. Let's see, feet's marginal variable costs are $7.05 plus $7.68, or $14.73, right? Okay, so its marginal total variable costs, not marginal in that case, but its total variable cost for that product would have been $8,619,000, la da da. Okay, so missed gross profit then is simply my $11,118,000 minus my $8,619,000. I end up with about a $2.5 million missed in gross profit. I've got a tax of $874,000, so I just subtract the taxes from that gross profit, and so Feet could have had an extra about $1.6 million in after-tax profit had it met its potential there. Okay. However, Fast, which is a different product, right? But for Ferris, Fast, however, sold an extra 0.02% in the low end. Okay, not in the traditional. We're just talking about its sales in the low end at 26 per unit. And I kind of, instead of going through everything here, I did kind of simplify or make it a little shorter so I wouldn't be here all day. But at 26 per unit and variable cost of $19.43 per unit, so it had a gross profit per unit, and you could have done it this way up here too, but a gross profit per unit of $6.57. The 0.02, you take it again times this 10 million, roughly 10 million here, so it missed out, or it ended up getting an additional 20,000 units of sales, okay, or 132,000 in gross profit. Again, we kind of apply the, why did I call that bonus? We kind of apply the 65%, okay, to the gross profit. Yeah, instead of taking it times the taxes and then subtracting it, you can just take it times the 65%. It should give you the same thing. I don't know why I would have put bonus in there. So, that's extra income, I guess we would call that. Okay, and then to get an official number, I'd net that out. The $1,624,000 minus this, because they gained this actually, so the net gain was a little over $1.5 million. Okay, 3. Chester's forecasting sales next round in the traditional segment. It is estimating that it will sell 1,715 units of cake, its traditional product. Chester wants to have an extra 10% of units on hand above and beyond its forecast. This one's a perfect exercise for you guys to be using as you're doing your projected your production requests and whatnot. Say, okay, I'd rather have the possibility of a little excess inventory. A little bit of inventory is better than missing out, right? Rather than risk lost profits on a stock out. Taking current inventory into account, what will cake's production after adjustment have to be in order to have a 10% reserve of units available for sale? Well, if it's projecting this kind of sales and then we just add 10% to that, we can just take that number times 110%. So we don't need to go look at our deal, but we're going to need a total then of 1,887 units for that period. Okay, if we go back and look, cake has 489 units, and these should be in thousands, but so 489,000 units. So total production needed is 1,398,000. Okay, I'm going to give you guys a little extra if you got this part right, because it does say after adjustments. And if you look on your production, you notice that they take 1% out, and the 1% is for just lost, damaged finished goods, imperfect finished goods, ones that you don't want to send out to the customers, whatever the case is, right? And so to calculate that, we'd have to add or take it times. Divide it by 0.99 is one way to do that, the way to do that. and you'd end up with 1,412 units ought to be my production. Okay, so if I ask for 1,412, I'll end up with 1,398 plus my inventory, and I should have enough. Okay, Dixie ended the year with an awareness of 48%. If Dixie invests $1.5 million in promotion next year, what will Dixie's awareness be? Well, then you got to go to the guide, right? Page 14. Here it is. Promotion. Last year's awareness minus 33% of last year's awareness equals your starting awareness for the year. Okay. And then starting awareness plus additional awareness from figure 4.2. And figure 4.2 indicates that $1.5 million promotion budget would add 36% to starting awareness. Yeah, cool. Okay, so funny how those numbers just kind of fit with what I asked for, right? So, and this one's the math's really pretty easy because Dixie ended the year with awareness of 48%. So really we just take 2/3 of that. I know I'm simplifying the equation a little bit. It's last year's awareness, 48%, minus 33% of last year's awareness. So minus 1/3 of last year's awareness, or 33% of 48%. Okay, and 48 just divides up nicely, right? 16 goes into 48 3 times. So divide this into thirds is pretty easy. We can really just take 16 off of there, and we end up with 32%. $1.5 million adds 36%. 32 and 36 equals 68%. So there you have it for the round 1C assignment review.